This is the Ben Herman Show. Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Ben Herman Show. I have another awesome guest. This is actually a personal friend of mine, DJ Hapa. What is up, man?
Yeah, good to be back, Ben. It's been some time since I've been back on the podcast, but it is nice to see you. It's always good to see you. We always have some great conversations.
We really do, yeah. For those rare folks that are listeners that may have not heard of Hapa, do you mind giving them just kind of a quick synopsis of who you are, where you came from, and so forth?
Sure. So the easiest way I like to describe what it is that I do, at least, is I sit at the intersection of our DJ world, education, and technology. And that sort of, convergence point has been where my career has led me. And for the past, I'd say almost 20 years now, I've really stayed in that sort of space where those three circles collide in a Venn diagram. But I've been a DJ since 96, fell in love with teaching, which I didn't anticipate I would fall in love with, but fell in love with teaching in 2004 when I brought Scratch DJ Academy from New York to Los Angeles, and then ran that brand for about 15 years, left Scratch in 2019 after building locations in 6 different cities throughout the United States, went on to go back to school, finished up my degree, which my bachelor's, I was on the 20-year program. And then as technology entered our space with laptops and whatnot, I was somebody who fought this very hard. I think we might talk about this later, but I then fell in love with technology and fell in love with the idea of what technology could do in our space and how it could really enhance some of the things that we're trying to do. And so I've become somebody who has become a bit obsessed with being at the cutting edge and trying to stay at the forefront of technology as it pertains to sort of our space. Today, I run a company called the DJ Coach. We've got the DJcoach.com. We also have a program called Start to DJ, bringing DJ education into schools and community organizations throughout the country, really meeting kids where they're at and trying to empower the next generation of DJs.
Yeah, super cool. I really love seeing your posts around teaching the next generation of DJs in the classroom. That's a super cool thing. So definitely make sure to follow Hapa on social media as well, because his newsfeed is always exciting to view. What's your social media handle?
So DJ Hapa, DJ Hapa. Hapa gets misspelled often, so it's helpful to spell it out, DJ Hapa. But just to speak on that real quick, Ben, like that is such a privilege. Like, I feel so privileged to be able to wake up in the morning, and I know you feel the same way, wake up in the morning, be able to do something that you feel like is truly in your purpose, and yet at the same time be able to provide for your family, be able to make an impact on the world, to some degree. And, we get to do this. We are privileged to be able to do this. And so, it's an honor, and I'll continue to do it as long as I'm here on this earth.
Amen, brother. Absolutely. Let's go back real quick, because you talked about getting involved with a laptop, kind of finding it at first, and then you fell in love with technology, right? But we're kind of dinosaurs in the industry in the sense that we've been DJs for quite some time now. I personally started off on vinyl and then quickly also messed around with CDs, but really fell in love with vinyl. So I actually stuck with turntables and vinyl for, right before this podcast, Hop and I had a conversation. I was like, man, when Serato first came out, they came out with the first version was Scratch Live. It wasn't called Serato Pro. I fought that so hard because I just remember, okay, I'm going to age myself right now, but there's this war back in the day for aggressive roller skaters or bladers, what we refer to ourselves as, versus skateboarders, right?
All right.
And I remember the bladers used to call the skateboarders twig pushers as kind of a condescending nickname, right? And then what ended up happening in the DJ world is us turntablists saw these MIDI controller users as button pushers, right?
Yep, right.
So, meant as a derogatory insult to those folks that were using controllers. So I was in camp turntablist and not button pusher camp, but then quickly realized, man, you need to adapt or you die. Because technology is just pushing forward, and there were so many things that came with this technology that were superior over the analog. Now, that being said, I still plan to just have a vinyl setup at my home just for fun, like just as an enthusiast. I will never get rid of turntables, a part of my life. But when it comes to performing out events, controllers are superior at this point in time. But I'd love to find out, like, where did you start? Like, were you also vinyl or was it CDs?
I mean, I technically started on cassette tapes, but
Gotcha.
that was short-lived. It was only because that's what I had access to. And then I was listening to the radio at the time, and I grew up in San Francisco, and so there were these incredible mix show DJs in San Francisco, and I didn't even really quite understand what they were doing at the time, but I remember hearing songs and hearing like 2 songs playing at the same time, like, how are they doing that? And here I am, and I'm trying to figure this out with a dual cassette deck, like a boombox that had the dual cassette. I'm like, there's 2, right? Like maybe that's how you do it. You play both at the same time. And then I discovered through my best friend's older brother, who was a bedroom DJ, he had a pair of turntables in his room. And I was like, oh, maybe that's how you do it. And then I got exposed through him, to the invisible scratch pickles, Cubert, Mixmaster Mike, Apollo. The 3 of them were doing a after school thing, which is all very full circle, because now a lot of my programming that I do with Start to DJ is after school. And so, it was this after school thing, and there were maybe 7 or 8 kids, like 7 or 8 people in the room, and watching them play like a band, but yet all on turntables, absolutely blew my mind. And I'd say even still to this day, I'm chasing after trying to be able to do some of that. But I saved up for a pair of turntables. I also was team vinyl, and still am. I still have quite an extensive vinyl collection. At some point in time, I mean, I don't want to, we don't need to go into all of the history, but at some point in time when I was at college, a friend of mine who was a part of my DJ crew had this idea of starting a company selling records online, which became DJ City. And so that was one of my first experiences in entrepreneurship as well, was not just through the DJ side of it, but then running an online record store in 99. And then that turning into, distributing records, and then into owning a record store. And so, at some point I was all in on vinyl, and I don't think any of us really saw that changing. I mean, the CDs became something, but it definitely was still a bit different, and most people really weren't DJing with CDs as much, at least in my world. And it seemed like vinyl was king. And then all of a sudden, like the technology came in, and it was first Final Scratch, and then it was Serato came out with Scratch Live, and then you had another program come out from M Audio called Torque.
Do you remember Tractor too?
And Tractor as well.
Vinyl too. Yeah.
And fun fact, I actually helped create Tractor 2. I was a part of the dev team for Tractor.
Oh, really
2
cool.
With Native Instruments. And so, nice. I mean, I also fought it initially, and at the time I was running also a DJ school and running a record store, so I felt like it was really a threat to our business in a lot of ways. And I was one of the people that said, I will never DJ with a laptop. And I will say this is, there's a couple of things that I feel like are really important to share with other people, especially when I mentor other folks. And one of them is, I feel like always and never are 2 words that you should be very careful on how you use those words. There's very few things are always X or never Y. We live in a world in which things are continuing to change. And so, I at some point flipped the complete other way. And now, I'm constantly trying to figure out what is next, like what technology is next, and how can I be a part of informing, that next generation. I think by working with Native Instruments on Tractor, that gave me a bit of a taste of what that was like, and how cool that was to be on the front lines and be able to help inform product and be able to see something that was an idea then come to fruition and see other people using it. So I was a part of that team, and then still work very closely with Serato, work very closely with Algorithm DJ. We're very tight with Pioneer DJ and Alpha Theta. work with a lot of the different manufacturers in the space. And even now, working on a VR project currently where, we're just really trying to push the boundary of what you can do with the technology. And to me, I think, DJing is very unique in that way, where most forms of musicianship are much more designed around the instrument itself. Whereas I feel like with DJing, it's really the software that leads the innovation on our side.
Speaking of software, like where are you seeing a shift happening of the way that DJs are DJing currently? Yeah. And where do you see it going in the future?
Yeah, I think it's an interesting perspective that I have, because I have the privilege of being around a lot of different people from different backgrounds. So on one hand, at the DJ Coach, we do a lot of coaching and we do a lot of supporting DJs who are already somewhat established or somewhere in like that sort of intermediate range, on up to, advanced pro users or wanting to go pro. And so, we have that perspective and getting a chance to work with people on that side. And then also have the perspective of like being in classrooms with, kids who are elementary school kids, middle school kids, and being able to see that on that end and sort of everything in between. But, I think because software is so key, there are some limitations in terms of what application you're using, depending on what type of device you're using. So for instance, I still find it very interesting that at the time of recording this podcast, the top of the line DJ equipment in our industry, hands down, I don't think that anybody would argue with this, is a pair of CDJ 3000s. Like that is the gold standard when it comes to DJing. So if you go to any festival and you look at any festival stage, I mean, purely based off of even price, like that's the highest you can really go. And so, if you were looking at a festival setup with 4 CDJs and like an A9 mixer or like a V10 mixer, I mean, that's well over 10 grand worth of equipment that's there. Yet at the same time, because it's not using a computer, you can't access some of the brand new technology that is so powerful, such as like stem separation. There's no way to do live stem separation on the top of the line gear, which is kind of crazy because we're in this real moment right now that's happening where that really is showcasing how important software is in our space. And I do see there being a shift to smaller devices. I mean, when you look at the next generation, I would say most people today aren't really using laptops for everyday life. My wife's a great example of this. My wife has access to a laptop, but she does everything off of her phone. Everything she does off of her phone. And
come think of it, same with my wife.
Right. Maybe it's a male female thing too, potentially. I don't know. Yeah. But like, I need to have a physical keyboard. Like there's certain things I just simply cannot do. And at the same time, I also recognize that I've also been conditioned to do so. Whereas I think the next generation, their phone is actually more powerful than their laptop would be. So I think the idea that there would be a shift to, iPhone apps or iPad apps. And, I think that that's going to become more prevalent in the actual, what we'll see in the ecosystem. Or, maybe you will have devices that come out that are the same size as like a beginner controller, but that are really loaded up where it's got its own processor in it. You're just literally plugging in, or you're logging in to your information, right? Because you're not even plugging anything in. You're just like logging into your information. It's got a hotspot in it already. It's like, you've already it's got a hard drive in it as well. And, now it becomes this thing where now the hardware really is leading this. And I could see both of those scenarios becoming more common in the future.
Absolutely.
And then you add in things like a VR headset or, the Meta glasses or the Oakley glasses and things like that. And you talk about where that technology is in the next 3 years.
True.
I mean, we're maybe wearing glasses and we're accessing our music library. I have no idea. It can go in so many different futuristic ways. What I do know is that the skills that you develop as a DJ, the fundamental skills, the foundational work that you build as a DJ will translate no matter whether you're on vinyl, you're on CDs, you're on MP3s, you're streaming, you're using your phone. It doesn't matter. And so I think sometimes people get so caught up in that, like, oh, now I need to learn how to DJ with this. And it's like, no, you don't. Because if you know how to DJ, you'll know how to DJ on any of those things.
No, I agree 100%. And even coming back to the mobile devices becoming, someone's daily driver, right? You think about now tablets, Apple's really behind on the race on this, right? But even they are starting to treat the iPad more like a computer as chips are becoming more powerful, right? So I would say probably in the next 5 or 10 years, a tablet is going to be just as powerful as a laptop. At that point, why bring a heavier device?
Yeah. And I really think that, when you look at Mac in particular, there's obviously PC as well, but like when you look at Mac in particular, what a disadvantage in a lot of ways to be on my MacBook Pro. In some ways, it's like a disadvantage. I can't touch it.
Yeah.
Still to this day, like I can't, move things around in a natural way, whereas I could on an iPad. So there's been times where I actually did consider it. I was like, okay, well, maybe I'll just get rid of my MacBook Pro and just get an iPad Pro instead and use that and, build that out to be a computer. So, I think that this will be really interesting to see where things go. And being that this is so central to what our world is, I think it's important that we're all very aware of what the options are. Because I am a little bit, it's very immature to hear some of the conversations sometimes where this can't, what'd you call them? What'd you say? Twig riders? So you said,
well, twig pushers is the skateboarders, right? And I apologize, by the way, to any skateboarders out there. I apologize. I love you guys too.
I've never heard that. I've never heard that term before, but I love it.
So button pushers would be like, the MIDI controller.
But yeah, it's kind of like that. And I do see that happening sometimes even in our space where you have festival DJs or, festival or club DJs looking down at DJs who are using laptops, and almost like, well, I'm using a USB drive. Yet the irony is that they're using a laptop to get the music from their computer to their USB drive, but whatever. But that people are like looking down on that, or that people who are using laptops are looking down on people who are DJing with their phones. And ultimately, at the end of the day, it's like it's not what you're using; it's how you use it. So I talk about this a lot in a lot of our coaching and a lot of our courses that we have. But if you're gonna build a one-story shack on the beach, the foundation doesn't matter. Because that shack is only for a season and that's going to get blown over and it's fine. And it's, you didn't invest a lot of time and effort and energy into it. So it is what it is. But if you're trying to build a skyscraper, then you better make sure that you set a solid foundation. And so a lot of times to me, I run into a lot of DJs who, not for any fault of their own, a lot of times they just haven't taken the time and found resources to help build a solid foundation. So a lot of the work that we do even at the DJ Coach is making sure to evaluate how people's foundation is set and then helping them fill in some of those gaps so that they can really like build that skyscraper up as high as they want to go, and take it to wherever they want to take it to.
Love that perspective, man. I love to shift gears. Yeah. In regards to the DJ Coach specifically, like what's getting you excited right now? Like what are you currently working on that's really exciting you?
Yeah. So, you've known this about me as well, but I've been in this space for a long time and, I still get very excited about teaching, an individual person how to DJ and, helping them level themselves up. And that still brings me so much joy and so much, satisfaction and really allows me to feel like I'm living in my purpose. But to me, more than ever in this stage of my career, I feel like I'm much more focused on the tide right now. So, we've heard the phrase, a rising tide raises all boats. And it's like, yes, I have a boat in the harbor as well. But for me, I'm really focused on the tide. Like, how do we really make sure that DJing does not become this thing that's regarded as a fad or that people then it was like, oh, DJing had its moment and now it's not really that anymore. Like, oh, we don't really take DJs seriously. They're just button pushers. But I think, for me, I've looked at that perspective, and some of the decisions that we've made for the DJ coach more recently have been based off of that. So I recognize that in our space, I think that we need to find more ways to help legitimize the role of the DJ and to be able to create more formality around that. And not for the sake of formality, like not creating formality for the sake of just creating it, right? But to be able to allow folks that are in our space to recognize that they are able to do certain things, and then being able to set a baseline. So we've just launched our Pro DJ certification, which I'm really proud of. This is an opportunity for DJs to really level themselves up and be able to help define not only themselves in terms of their skill set as a DJ, but also help position themselves as a brand in the market, and to be able to find their niche within the market space. And we're bringing in all sorts of different types of coaches to be able to help with social media strategy, and them getting a chance to do a brand audit and doing a brand refresh potentially, to also work on financial planning and all of these sort of elements. Media training, we're media training DJs, in addition to helping DJs really identify what is your focus area. Because one of the two questions that most DJs get asked, these I feel like are the two most popular questions, are what do you play and where can I find you? Those are the what and the where are probably two of the biggest questions, most common ones. And it pains me because I actually used to answer this question that way as well. What do you play? I play everything. No, you don't. You don't play everything. There's no way. So really trying to niche down and define what is it that really gets you excited? What is it that is like really core to what essentially is your sound? And that doesn't mean that you're producing original music, but that this is the sound that I'm expecting to hear when I go out and either book you for an event or go out and listen to one of your mixes or whatnot, right? So really helping DJs define the what, but also helping DJs define the where. So again, I've heard DJs answer this, and I used to be guilty of this too. Where do you play? Oh man, I play everywhere. No, you don't. No, you don't. You don't. And there's certain places that maybe you used to play, and there's certain gigs that maybe you used to have that maybe you've grown out of. Like, I started as a club DJ. It would take a lot for me to go back into the club and for you to book me a club gig. I'm not going to say never, but it would really take a lot. Because
by the way, great job on following your own advice by not using always or never. Remember?
Right.
That's what you said earlier in the conversation. So
I can't say I would never do that. Right. I mean, look, there are certain things that I would probably set foot in a nightclub for, but it would probably be different pretenses, right? It'd be different circumstances for me today. Like, man, I would love to get a call, which maybe this will come in. I'm going to throw this out here. Here's a self-fulfilling prophecy that maybe somebody's going to reach out to me and be like, hey, we have rented out this major nightclub and we want to invite families out and have them do a full-on family rave in the middle of the afternoon. I'm for that. That's my type of gig. I will come out and kill that. You just never know how those things will go. But I think, to me, the what and the where are super important. And I feel like there's a lot of DJs that haven't defined that clear enough. And so it makes it really hard for them to be able to accelerate and grow, because they end up kind of chasing their tail a bit. And so that's a big part of what we want to put together with this Pro DJ certification. But more than anything, also just really giving people a solid foundation to be able to stand upon and help them for us to have created a baseline and say, hey, this is what we believe a pro DJ should be able to do. And this is where a pro DJ should be at in our industry. And everybody that I've put this in front of has had really nice things to say about it, and agrees that these things that we are putting into this program are things that are necessary for a pro DJ to be able to have under their belt.
Absolutely. I think, what's so interesting as I'm hearing you explain the program out is you and I are both tackling the same mission, just in different sectors of the overall DJ world, right?
Yeah.
So DJ coach is focusing on the skill set of DJing, right? But also the branding, the marketing, that kind of stuff, right?
Yep.
And then profitable DJ is focusing on the business side, because I have the same situation of like, folks are trying to figure things out and Jimmy rig it together versus actually formalizing a process, following proven systems that get them to run a healthy business.
Yep.
A business that can be respected in outside of the DJ world. Because, I'm just so sick and tired of, us DJs going to the family gatherings. It's like, hey, what do you do for a living or whatever? It's like, oh, my DJ. It's like, oh, it's almost like there's pity, placed
like,
upon you.
I'm
Like,
so
oh my
sorry.
gosh, what else are you doing? What else do you do for a living, right?
You drive Uber as well? Yeah.
Right. Versus like actually changing that stereotype to, oh, wow, you must be doing really well for yourself, right? Respected as a doctor, as an attorney, as an accountant, right? Like a high paid professional, not for the money's sake, but just really for the respect of like, this is a legitimate profession.
Yeah.
But yet, because bad players potentially in the past, and folks just you kind of doing it as a side hustle or more of a hobby in the past, has created that stigma in the public.
Yeah.
And so it sounds like we're both tackling it from both ends. Yeah.
And I will say this, like, I personally don't think there's anything wrong with somebody like doing this as a side hustle. Like, not at all. But what I would say is that I think in our industry, and this is what we're hoping to achieve with the Pro DJ certification. And again, like, I actually welcome more of my brothers and sisters who are in the DJ education space to, my hope is that like there would be more of us that create these types of certification programs. Like, let's allow people to be able to feel a sense of seriousness when it comes to this. And again, at the same time, this is not meant to discourage people from entering into the space. Like, this is not a part of, become this like elitism or whatnot. I think if anything, this is really designed to be able to help give people confidence, because you and I have spoken about this at length as well. I think one of the things that is incredibly challenging in our space is somebody not sure, like, am I good enough? Am I legit enough? And there sort of is this like fake it till you make it kind of mentality. But I think that's different when you have mentors, when you have a program that you've gone through. I mean, it's no different in any other line of work. What allows for this person to say, no, I know what I'm doing when it comes to architecture, and it's not because they like learned it all on their own on the street drawing buildings necessarily, right? Like, maybe that's where it started, but then now at this point, there's full-on architecture schools. You can go and get a degree for architecture. Like, you can, have an apprenticeship. Like, there's all sorts there. You can be a part of an architecture firm. Like, we need that in our industry. And I think that that's what creates longevity in our industry. And, I think it's really important. At the same time, I also believe that, it does require more than just thinking about it from how good of a DJ can I be. For instance, I think sometimes DJing can actually be a stepping stone to something else. And I think that sometimes, and by the way, once a DJ, always a DJ. That's how I look at it. I mean, I don't care when's the last time you touched a set of decks. Like, if you've ever DJ'd, you take on a DJ mindset. And I think having a DJ mindset is looking at the world for what its potential is, as opposed to what you're seeing on the surface. Yeah. Right? I mean, that's what we're doing with songs. It's like, yes, I could play this song by itself, but what is that in relation to these other songs that I might play? Or where's the intersection point that's here? Or how is this song going to make these people feel? And like, there's so many transferable skills that we gain as DJs that I don't think we give ourselves enough credit for. So there's a lot of times, that whole scenario that you mentioned of, showing up to the family barbecue or whatnot. And it's like, I'm just a DJ. It's like, no, you're not just a DJ. Like you're a freaking DJ, and that's a big deal. Like you are a curator of culture. You are somebody that like will shift the atmosphere and shift the room. Like you are an active listener. You are a problem solver, a creative problem solver. You are all of those things. And I think a lot of times it's like, well, I'm just a DJ. I just push buttons, right? Like, and that's the part that I feel like we need to change.
Yeah, just had a thought come to mind as you're saying that is if we were just DJs, why are we invited and hired to help folks celebrate the biggest milestones of their life?
Yeah,
we're
why
not
not
just DJs.
Yeah,
right?
no, not at all. And I think like that, we need to fix that, you know. And I think that's a mindset. That's a mindset shift. And so, yes, while of course we're going to teach the skill set of how to do some of these things, I think what I'm really proud of is being able to pour into men and women and help them shift their mindset around what is possible and who they really are and what they really bring to the table in terms of value. Because everybody's got their unique voice. Like every single person that's here on this earth was put here for a slightly different purpose, right? And there is something unique about the way that you do something, Ben, and there's something unique about the way that I do something. And somebody's going to want, you know, what it is that you have to offer versus what it is that I have to offer, or vice versa. And like, you know, I think we have to be able to come into a space where we can really fully understand that. And it's taken me a long time to get there. And I think it can be challenging, especially in our space, because a lot of times in the DJ space, we operate from a scarcity mindset a lot of times, right? There's one gig that, you know, they're booking one DJ for this one event. And it's easy to get into that mindset of like, it's me versus her and it's her versus him. And, you know, you start to do all of that. And to me, it's like, man, if this is for you, it's for you. And if it's not, it's not. And now at the same time, like, how can you position yourself in the best way possible so that, you know, it becomes a no-brainer that you are the right fit for this. But if you don't know who you are, you know, how does that even work out with this person then identifying, yep, you're the right person to DJ our wedding. You're the right person to DJ our, you know, our company grand opening party or whatever. You know, you've got to be able to identify that with yourself first, and then be able to message that and broadcast that to the world so that like you start attracting the opportunities that are designed specifically for you.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I'm not passionate about this at all, by the way.
Right. Yeah, we can tell.
Yeah. Sorry. It's like,
I'm curious to find out though, like, who does a DJ coach work for the best? Is it like a beginner? Is it an intermediate? Is it a pro?
This is the part that I think is a bit challenging because I think we have something to offer for people at all those different levels, you know? So we actually still to this day have great partnerships with Pioneer DJ, with Hercules, Serato, Algorithm DJ. And so we offer a lot of free courses, or we offer these courses that would typically be, you know, $150, $200 for free for people who have gone out and bought this equipment. Because I believe that there are so many people that go out and buy a beginner controller kind of on a flyer, like on a, this is something I've always wanted to do. And then you get home and you unbox this thing and then you're just like, oh, great. Like, how do where do I start? And, you know, I mean, even from the compatibility of things, like, what do I download? How does this work? How do I load in music? How does all this stuff go? And, you know, I recognize that that's a real space in which people need help. And so we design courses specifically for those students, you know, for that complete beginner. And the idea really is to be able to hold their hand and walk them across that first initial bridge. And a lot of times that's what people need the most to then be able to, you know, start feeling like that was a good decision that I bought this. So, you know, on the beginner side, that's how we serve that person. And then, you know, on the, certainly for the intermediate and sort of more advanced user, to me, I think that that's really our sweet spot, is that person who, has been dabbling with DJing for a while. They've, learned some things on their own. They've watched a whole bunch of YouTube videos. They've, maybe not had such formal instruction, but they also recognize that, much like it is, if you were to go out and pick up a hobby like playing golf, it's like, well, I have the golf clubs and I go to the driving range every now and then. But I really feel like there's more potential here. And I know that I see other people like taking this a lot further, and I feel some type of a pull to know that there's something there, that I can do something more with this. Like, we are great for that person. We are great to be able to help lead that person in, to be able to help discover what their potential is and be able to really fully unlock, where this can actually take you. And I'm really proud to say, I mean, we've had some great success stories that have come from this. And without sounding too much like a commercial here, I mean, we've had students go from, that kind of space that I described to then now I've had people message me saying, I'm quitting my job because I'm now going to go all in on DJing. And I mean,
milestone,
yeah, I mean, to me, that's like, wow. I mean, we don't expect that, and that isn't the measure of success, by the way. I mean, for that person, great, that was what they felt that they needed to do. But we've also had people who are just like, oh my gosh, I never thought I'd be doing this. Like, I dreamt about this, but it felt, I didn't want to let myself down to even share this dream. And now here I am, and I've now done 4 or 5 gigs in front of other people, and I've gotten paid for those gigs. Like, this is crazy to me, and me, that is success, and I think more than anything, it's just been a beautiful process to be able to help people find community, help people find their tribe of people. And it brings me a lot of joy. I mean, to even be able to travel to different parts of the country and to, meet up with some of my students in real life that I've built a relationship with, but I've never really fully met in person. And now here I am meeting them in person. And I think that's the beauty of the world that we live in today is, we can do stuff like this and cultivate relationships that are real relationships and where there's real transformation happening. So, I'd say that, the person who's probably not the right fit for us is anybody that doesn't have a growth mindset. Anybody that feels like they already know it all and that they just want to come and get their certification for the sake of getting it, and yet they don't want to go inward and do the work and try to figure out how, like, what can I adjust in what I'm doing? That person's definitely not the right fit for us. But outside of that, anybody with a growth mindset, I feel like we're a great option for those people.
Yeah, I love that you defined the folks that might not be the best fit for you either. That's actually really great.
Yeah, I mean, and I recognize that too, is that, there's also some people that might not like the way that I present things. They may not like, the way in which I explain things, and I totally get that. Or for whatever reason, like, it just doesn't click for them. I mean, I've spent a lot of hours and years trying to refine that. But I also know that, people receive from different people differently. And, so to me, it's great. We have different options for people to be able to kind of learn a little bit more about what our style is and our teaching style is and our coaching style, in order for them to be able to make a decision whether or not they feel like we're the right home for them or not. And we're happy to refer people to some of our other friends, right? Like, that might be better fits for them. And to me, like I said, I mean, I'm all about the tide. So, to me, if you're trying to be a DJ and you're trying to be a better DJ, a part of my response, and you come across me somehow, and you're talking to me somehow, like, I have every intent of trying to figure out how you can be a better DJ, whether that's through our program or if I were to refer you to other friends of ours, guys at the Crossfader who do really great work. Digital DJ Tips, Phil does good stuff. Phil Harris has good stuff out there. Like, you've got a ton of great content. There's so many different people in our space that, like, I'm not the only choice by any means, but we try to go above and beyond for anybody that obviously makes a commitment to us.
I mean, if you've made it this far in this conversation, you can probably tell that Hapa is a very clear communicator. He's a great conversationalist, but also a great communicator. I've had the pleasure of also seeing his content, his actual education content, and I got to even see him live teaching at a college campus, right? To
Oh yeah, yeah.
students. Yeah. And I can tell you, I mean, from a fellow educator, like this guy knows his stuff, but he really understands not only he understands how to simplify it so it's
Yeah.
digestible for anybody, so it's approachable for anybody, and Hapa really makes it fun. So I definitely see it from like the students that he's taught even at the university. There's
Yeah.
high engagement, smiles on people's faces, and so forth. So something that can be quite intimidating for especially a a beginner or intermediate wanting to go professional, right?
Yep.
You really have a way of simplifying it and making it digestible.
Well, I'll tell you this, Ben, and I appreciate the kind words, man. And to me, a big part of that came when I understood the shift between teaching and coaching. And that's a big difference. Like I teach, there's plenty of concepts I teach, but I think I resonate a lot more around the role of a coach. So I can't be on that field for you. Like you're going to need to get on that field, but I'll be on that sideline, and you're going to run those plays and you're going to have to make some of those decisions. And then you're going to come back and we're going to talk about it and we're going to learn from it. And we're going to figure out like what needs to be adjusted, but we're in it with you. And that is much different than the approach of here's how to do this. You do it. And I sit here and like I'm talking at you. There's a huge difference there. And some people maybe like that talking at you thing, but personally I feel like I've gotten more out of my students in recent years by coming alongside with them and being shoulder to shoulder with them and being able to like motivate them from this perspective of also understanding that it's not just a skill-based thing. Like being a good DJ is so much more mental and psychological and emotional than it is physical. And like, yes, there's a physicality to it 100%, but the mental blocks that I think people are facing, especially today, like those are the things that we aim to really work out. And a big part of even choosing the DJ coach moniker, which was actually given to me, but a part of that was realizing that this is part teaching you to DJ or helping you elevate your DJing and also helping you along this journey of life, and this being a longer term relationship as opposed to you take a course, you take a class, and I'm here when you're in class, and then when you're not in class, see ya.
Peace. Yeah. Gotcha. So it's an ongoing relationship. It's a give and take, it sounds like.
100%. I've made, a lot of that is also based off the fact that I've had the good fortune of being in this space for so long. So I've made those mistakes. I've made those mistakes with students in the past where I valued them when they were students. And then based on even just my own capacity, like I had to move on from them and then, focus on the current students that were in front of me. And that part didn't sit well with me, down the road of just like, wow, look at all these people that I just lost touch with and like fell out of relationship with. And to me, those are some of the mistakes that I recognize. And so in going into this new chapter with the DJ coach and going into this new chapter with the pro DJ certification, a big part of this is, yes, you're going to go through our program and get certified, but you will be a part of our organization forever, So we are actually we're publishing a list of certified DJs publicly on our site, where then we're we've got links to all of their information. Like, here's where you can find them. Here's their own website. And, if anybody wanted to, fact check, did this person actually finish this program? They could do so very easily by being able to, pull up our site and be able to figure out, did this student graduate from our program?
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, so how can people find out more about the DJ coach and all of its programs and the things that, if someone's looking for a coach, right, that wants to level up their skill set, their mindset around going pro as a DJ, or even, part-time, right? Like, I mean, side hustle is absolutely acceptable as well. It really depends on what your goals are. And they're very personal to each person. How can people find out more?
Yeah, absolutely. So the DJcoach.com, don't forget the DJcoach.com. That sort of has a good layout of some of our different offerings, including our level 1, our level 2, our semi-pro, and then our pro DJ certification. And then I'm going to give you my actual cell number. So I have a coaching number, goes directly to my phone. It's 310-622-0665. You can text me there. Happy to be able to help point you in the right direction. We do calls all the time with students or potential students who aren't sure what's the right fit for them. And to me, the most important resource that we all have is time. And I definitely don't have, I've got 4 kids at home. Ben knows.
Yeah.
I've got 4 kids at home. I've got a beautiful wife. Like, I'm managing like all the different projects that we have going on. The last thing I want to do is waste my time nor waste anybody else's time. So, if we are the right fit for you, I'll be able to tell you. And if you're not, then, we can help refer you to somebody who I feel like is a better fit. But you can always reach out. I'm also Hapa at thedjcoach.com, HAPA at thedjcoach.com if you're an email person. But yeah, happy to help people on their journey and help figure out where it's going. Hey, Ben, I really appreciate our friendship, and I appreciate what you do in our space. I think, to give you your flowers here, I think you've been somebody who has really challenged status quo in a lot of ways and has like really looked at DJing and the business side of DJing and trying to figure out like what is it that DJs need and trying to create solutions for DJs that are out there. So I think to just be in community with you and to call you a brother in arms and be able to, tackle some of this together, man. I think I'm excited about, 10 years down the road, us being able to stand on the mountaintop and look back and see all the things that we've been able to build together.
Absolutely. Thank you, man. Thank you for the kind words. And really what I look forward to is actually standing on the mountaintop with 1,000 other DJs as well. Right.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. Like that's the goal. That's the goal is, to really raise the tide, across the board, where now you have this profession and you have kids that are, saying not only do, I want to be a DJ, and not just because I want to, I want the eyeballs or, I want this cool job, but because I also recognize that this is going to give me such a great skill set that I can apply to other aspects of business as well. And this is a great way to become a businessman or a businesswoman and to be an entrepreneur. And I think to learn those skills in such a fun way is a really great offer for a lot of people that are out there.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much again, man. Appreciate you.
All right, guys. Have a good one.